Hey, second grade. So we are going to start our second week of math at home. So last week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you had lesson 10.1, 10.2, and 10.3. So today we are going to go over lesson 10.4, and we are working on reading bar graphs. So your first page looks like this, and it is actually crossed out. So you'll go to the next page. And I noticed on this packet, there were a couple places where, of course, these packets are in color, but when I copied them with some things crossed out, some of the bar graphs didn't show up very well because they're a yellow color on the real packet. So I will tell you where the bar ends on these bar graphs, and then I will also, when I send out my email, I'll include where the bars end as well on certain pages for the ones that didn't show up very well. So I'll tell you on here, and you'll get it, your parents will get it in an email. Otherwise, just make your best guess, draw it in on your bar graph, and just use that number. All right, so a bar graph uses bars to show data. Look at where the bars end. This tells how many. So our first one here is children playing games. And then along the side, they titled the side here, outdoor games. And then it tells us the different games. We have basketball, jump rope, soccer, and tag. And then along the bottom, it tells us the number of children, and it puts a title down there. And then the bar stops on a number, and that's how many children chose that game. So like basketball went to 6, jump rope had 3 children, soccer went all the way to 8, and tag went to 5. So down below here, you're going to use this bar graph over here. Marbles in a bag along the side tells you how many marbles there are. And then at the bottom, it's the color of marbles. And then your bar is actually, instead of going sideways this time, it's going to go up. But the same thing, wherever the bar ends, that's the amount of marbles that were that color. All right, and then question 1 says, how many green marbles are in the bag? Number 2, how many more blue marbles than purple marbles are in the bag? So you'll compare blue and purple, so you'll have to subtract. And then number 3, how many marbles are in the bag? So that means you're going to add up all the red marbles, all the blue marbles, all the green, and all the purple to figure out how many total marbles are in the bag. And it looks like all of those bars printed okay on this one. Now on the back, so we're on page 673. On the back, we're using the bar graph favorite places to go, and then it lists a place over on the side. We have aquarium, zoo, beach, and museum. Aquarium didn't show up very well, but aquarium goes to the number 4. So if you want to draw in a bar that goes to 4 or kind of shade it in with your pencil, you can. And then you'll answer the questions down below. How many children choose the beach for number 4? Number 5, which place did the fewest children choose? And remember, fewest means least amount. Number 6, how many more children chose the zoo than the aquarium? So you're going to compare the zoo amount to the aquarium amount, so you'll have to subtract. Number 7, how many children chose a place that was not the zoo? So you are going to add up all the places except for the zoo. So you'll add aquarium, beach, and museum to get your total. And then number 8, you don't have to do, it's crossed out. On to the next page. So now we are on page 674. Once again, you're going to use the bar graph. Now we're talking about trees at the farm. Along the side, we have the number of trees. Down below, we have the type of tree. Once again, this was a light color here. So the first tree is oak tree, and oak tree goes up to 6. So if you want to draw on the bar for oak tree, it goes to 6. And then you have pecan tree, maple tree, and apple tree. And then 2 questions for this bar graph. Number 9, how many trees are at the farm? So you're going to have to add up all the trees to get the total amount that are at the farm. And then number 10, how many trees are not apple trees? So now you're going to add up all the kinds of trees except apple. Number 11, you don't have to do. And then number 12, use the data in the bar graph about trees to finish the sentences. So you're going to use this bar graph again for number 12 down here. There are blank fewer apple trees than oak trees. So you are going to compare oak trees and apple trees. So you're going to have to subtract to find how many fewer apple trees there are than oak trees, and then explain how you did it. So if you want to write like a number sentence there, that would be perfect. And remember, a number sentence is something plus something equals something, or something minus something equals something. But whatever your number sentence is, it should support how you got this answer right here. All right, then you are on to your assignment. Well, like your normal page that you would turn in for a grade. Page 675. So you're going to use this bar graph. Now we're talking about favorite sports. They list the sports over here. We have baseball, soccer, basketball, and football. And then the number of children that chose that sport. And you've got your numbers down there. All the bars showed up pretty well for this one. Number 1, how many children chose basketball? Number 2, which sport did the most children choose? Number 3, how many more children chose basketball than baseball? So you are comparing basketball and baseball, so you'll have to subtract. Number 4, which sport did the fewest children choose? So remember, we worked on words like most, fewest, least, more than. And number 5, how many children chose baseball or basketball? All right, so they want to know how many total children chose baseball and basketball. So to find the total amount, you're going to have to add baseball and basketball together to get your total. And then number 6 is crossed out. So you'll turn that page over and you're going to be on page 676. You're using this bar graph at the top for this question. We're talking about shells. You have number of shells along the side, and then down below they give you names of children. First one is Ella. Then you have John, Lily, and David. And it says how many shells each of them had. Number 1, use the bar graph. How many shells do the children have in all? So remember, you're going to add up these 4 children. You're going to add up their amounts to figure out how many total shells they found all together. Then this down here is all review. Number 2, use the line plot. How many twigs are 3 inches long? So we have lengths of twigs in inches. So if the twig was 2 inches, if they put an X above it, that means that there were 2 twigs that were 2 inches long. And then you have 3 inches, and that's how many were 3 inches long. That's how many were 4 inches long. The X is above. And then that's how many were 5 inches long. And actually, we haven't talked about line plots yet. But you're going to look at the 3-inch twigs, so here, and figure out how many were 3 inches long. Number 3, use a centimeter ruler. What is the length of the yarn to the nearest centimeter? So remember, we actually skipped that centimeter and meter chapter, but it's just on the other side of your ruler, so we are used to using inches. You'll just flip it and use the side that has centimeters. You'll line it up the same, the 0 on this line, and figure out about how many centimeters long the piece of yarn is. And then down here, you might want to draw a picture. Noe uses 1 quarter and 2 nickels to pay for a pencil. How much money does he pay for the pencil? And then they did it with a cent sign, and then they also wrote the word cents. You'll have the same answer on both lines. And that is lesson 10.4.